So Charlie, how do you use thinking together in your teams and in your practice? Is it something you use?
Yeah, I think we use thinking together quite a lot actually. Some of the ways we use it is in consultations with a network around the child.
Yeah.
We also use it within our team meetings.
Okay.
And also just in informal consultations with each other and other people around the network that come into contact with us in the office.
Okay, you know, so quite a lot actually.
Quite a lot,
yeah,
quite a lot. Yeah. And also use it when I'm on an out-of-hour service for some of our clients or carers, and they call us if there's an issue, and I use it with them quite specifically as well.
Okay. Yeah. And is it quite helpful?
Definitely. I think the best, it is, when you start it, people can become a bit perplexed, but others can take it on straight away about the process. But what everyone has found is that they feel contained by the process, you know, especially when they get used to it.
Yeah.
You know, it can contain them first and foremost in the middle of the crisis, and then there's an outcome to it as well, which is agreed upon at the beginning. So they can hold their anxiety knowing that we're going to think through it together. And it's not always me that comes up with a solution. You know, sometimes they come up with it as well, just based on the process itself.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I like about it, because I guess it pulls together one of the bits about AMBIT that I find useful, trying to balance reflecting on stuff, but actually also doing something about what you've reflected on.
Definitely.
And you can kind of come to the conversation saying to the other person, what do you want to get out of it? Which, like you say, to start with, can feel a bit rude, because people sometimes just want to come and say whatever they want to say. But sort of having that bit of marking at the beginning of actually, if this is going to be helpful, it will kind of help me to know where you want to get to. Once people get into that, even though it's a bit hard and it can feel a bit awkward and possibly a bit rude as well to say, no, stop, hang on. But I don't know whether in your experience, that bit, if it's not there, just kind of, I guess, does it make a difference if you don't mark tasks?
It does, because then they go straight into the storytelling. And then halfway through, I realise that if I mark the task properly, it becomes harder to help them think about the desired outcome. You know, and it could just be a rambling. So at times, I think I've got brave enough to pull back and say, listen, let's start again. Let's really focus about what we want out of this. And then maybe not ask them to repeat what they've said already, but get a clear emphasis at the beginning once again. And what the beautiful thing I found about it is that once people get used to it, they come to you already with the task marked. You know, they come saying, Charlie, I've thought about what I want already. This is what I want. Can we think through it? And that's when you see the evolution of the process and of the worker as well.
I can relate to that actually, because it just becomes part of how you have conversations about things. Like you say, sort of a bit irrespective of the setting, whether it's in a supervision or just informally. Like we'd one stage kind of decided to have a thinking together table, and I think you said something similar about chairs, where it's just a table in the corner that's got the steps on. And you kind of know the drill. If you're going to go and sit at the table, you're going to follow this process. But it also stopped us from just having loads of quite purposeless, actually, although you think they're helpful, conversations around the desk about what's just happened, where we all join in and everyone's trying to be helpful and trying to be supportive. But you end up just going back to your work and you're thinking, what did we even get out of that?
Definitely.
We maybe feel a bit better, but actually sometimes you might feel a bit worse.
Definitely.
But you certainly haven't really got anything of value that you can actually go back and apply. So sort of saying to each other, hang on, should we go and sit over there and talk about it? Everyone kind of gets it, so everyone else just gets on. Those people go and do their thing, and within 10 minutes or so, they're usually back. So that's worked better.
Yeah, and I think what people have enjoyed from that is just the productivity from it as well. In the sense of they go away with a plan, or with a reflection, or with a feeling of lessened anxiety and worry, which we all feel in our work. You know, or even acknowledgement that they are feeling like that, because sometimes they didn't realise that they were feeling so concerned about a situation with a client or even within a network. But they go away with that awareness, which can help them kind of be more strategic in how they go forward, and what they want to do. Because I think it's like you say, getting someone back to being able to think about it for themselves
is helpful. And sometimes, like you say, people don't even realise how they are feeling about something. They just come with the thing that's the problem. And then having the bit of the slowing down and just thinking it through feels like it gets people back to being able to kind of be at their own best, so they can go out and do what they were going to do. You know, they've just had a bit of a space to think about it.
Definitely.
So I think that's one of the other things I can remember from training, people feeling like, if we start doing thinking together, am I just going to be constantly called upon to just come up with all these solutions for other people's problems? I've got enough of my own to struggle with. And actually, it's not really like that in my experience. You're just being a bit of a listening ear to somebody else. You don't have to sort of say, do this, do that, try this. You're just kind of helping that person have a bit of time and space to just process it a bit. And then most times when you say to people, have you got any ideas about what you want to do when you've returned to purpose? It's like they have a little light bulb and they're like, oh yeah, actually this or actually that. And then you can add in stuff, but a lot of the time, in my experience, it's not massively about the person that's doing the helping, saying, here I am, I've got the magic
You're not
wand.
left with the responsibility of being the fixer of the situation.
Yes, that's
definitely.
it. That's it.
And I've had not one experience, but I've had a few experiences when somebody's actually thought through marking a task quite in depth. It's actually finished it because they're like, actually, I know what I need to do now.
Oh, right, okay.
I thought, just the realization of thinking about what I want, and I had to go about trying to get that. So I'm fine. I'm like,
amazing. But that's the thing about the kick-starting the mentalising, isn't it? When you actually stop and think, what do I want? Sometimes you think, oh yeah, it's a bit clearer, but you just don't often stop and think. But it kind of prompts you, doesn't it?
Again, I think it totally kind of describes our environment where thinking is the most useful tool, but the hardest commodity to come by, just based on the work that we do, the stresses on us, the amount of work that needs to be done as well. That mentalizing thinking is at a premium, and I feel like one of my roles within my job is to help my team, my network, the network around the child, to be able to do that, and Thinking Together does that really well.
Use the thinking together in our team, which I think is quite different in my experience from ways other people have tried it. And I only say that based on, sometimes when I give the example at training, people are like, what? But obviously, like you said, we do quite a lot of outreach. So you'll be in someone's home or you'll be in McDonald's or wherever you are. And obviously stuff happens, things come up and you don't always know what to do. So we kind of have a bit of an arrangement in our team that you can call into someone in the team and do thinking together, but that you do it with the phone on speakerphone, so that the person in the office is sort of there helping the worker and the young person usually. Sometimes it's the parent though. So the job is that the worker's saying to the young person, hey look, I feel like we've got a bit stuck here. And you don't have to say that in a way that causes panic and alarm. It's just about being real, actually. Sometimes you don't know what to do, but a way of managing that is to call someone else for a bit of help. And then the person in the office just runs through the steps. So we wouldn't necessarily maybe use the weird language of like mark the task, mentalise the moment, state the case, but again you can say that in a bit more of a real way. Sort of what is it that you want the help with? And if it's me that's being called from the office, I try and think about being quite mentalising of the young person through what I might be saying to the worker, so that the young person doesn't have to feel at the centre of the conversation, but they can listen in. And then it's quite helpful, and sometimes I say, well, like, where have you got to? What have you guys come up with together? And you know what, sometimes we don't actually have anything to add to where they've got to. But then me and the worker can say, actually, it does seem like we could do with some more thinking about this. Why don't we come up with a plan of what we're going to do together? Then you can take it back to the young person. But also the young person can chip in, as they often do, sometimes quite loudly. But again, it just helps both of them. And the other thing that's been quite handy is my role in the team is as a psychologist, and this has been a way of me kind of being a bit bridged into those young people, because the worker says, oh, do you remember that time we called Laura? And they're like, oh yeah, she wasn't too bad, you know. And then it's a bit like I could go around and actually see them, and there might be some stuff about their mental health that we can kind of get into in a bit more detail.
Brilliant.
So it's been quite handy like that too.
And I think to add to that, I think the beautiful thing about that is that if we think about the children that AMBIT is designed for, who are non-help seeking, it really displays and illustrates somebody seeking help and it being okay. So when they see the worker able to reach out in their time of need, or their time of facing a hurdle, and they've been met in a way that's actually normal, and they see that there's a product in it, I think that just only helps to demonstrate that reaching out for help is okay.
Yeah.
So I really like that element of it as well.
Yeah, and like everyone has to do it sometimes.
Definitely.
And like you say, if only they could kind of do that a bit more within their own environment, they wouldn't really need people like us in a way. And
it's good role modelling.
Yeah.